let me just stop right there. That's a good spot. Okie dokie. Okay, sorry. Okay. Hey, good evening, Starsy. Hi. Hello, Precious. Hello, Esther. Sick of the fire, yeah, I understand. It's actually really terrifying what we're seeing over there in Hawaii. It's very scary stuff. Just to put it in perspective, the stuff that's happening in China just dwarfs the situation in Hawaii. I'm not going to try and obviously belittle the Hawaii situation. I think there's something really, personally, I think there's something very sinister going on there. I'm sure there's a lot of conspiracy theories, as they call it. Anyway, this is my Astrodoodle. The reason I'm here this evening, it's a Wednesday night over here, is that we just had the Leo new moon. Okay? Right over here. The moon was conjoined with Venus and Sun, very, very tight over here. That was actually just, when was that? Well, actually, it's right now. But the moon, since actually this happened, it's later in the day, and the moon has actually already slipped over into Virgo. So the moon is going. We just had the new moon here. And I don't know about you, but I have to be, I just have to respect my body when I'm going through lunar cycles, because here we are at the start of a new moon. We're going to have a full moon in 2 weeks, somewhere over here. And then 2 weeks later, we're going to be back over here at the next new moon in Virgo. And right the last few days before a new moon, I tend to get kind of soft and wimpy, and I just kind of stay quiet and I want to curl up. I'm sure a lot of people are the same. Some people are completely oblivious to the planets. I understand. Anyway, I'm just going to say hello. Greetings, this is TarotLumination. There's the new moon. It really is, you can't even really see it yet, but in the next couple of days you'll start to see the sliver of the new moon. It's another chapter in the never-ending cycles of the moon and all the other planets. Recently I was talking about how there's been a lot of stress between the planets, and it shows up here on Earth. And I might have shown you sometimes when I start talking about money, I like to refer to Mark Moss, but he refers to some other very credible people as well. There's a fellow called Ray Dalio. He's very highly respected in the money world, and he has created these videos that show the charts of the rise and fall of empires, over thousands and thousands of years. And to me, it was such a relief to see all that stuff and understand the influence of the planets, and most particular Pluto, a little bit Neptune, but Uranus and Pluto are much more tangible and easier to understand than Neptune. But anyway, right on cue, like clockwork, we are at the very, very tippy end of a cycle of empires. And interestingly enough, it coincides with Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn every single time. Now, why is that so? Well, number one, it's very closely associated with the astrology of America. America is what you could call the latest, most recent empire. It began in a very humble way back in 1776, and here we are 250 years later. What blew up and turned into this massive, successful, and sometimes nefarious empire has reached its peak and also descended into the death cycle, which is where we are right now. It's classic astrology. It's very pure, highly predictable, and that's where we are now. And it's very, very frightening for a lot of people, because empires are associated with health, and with not necessarily health, but more to do with, let's say, abundance and success and war and ambition and all the fun things that come with having a successful empire, like the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, excuse me, I have allergies. Sorry. Oh, God. Sorry about that. And recently the American Empire. And they go round and round and round in circles. Now, I have a personal feeling and an opinion that it's not actually the end of the American Empire, and that we're going to be looking at a whole new world structure that still has the United States in a prominent position, but the rest of the world is going to change around that. Because a lot has happened in the last 250 years in terms of the way people all over the world interact and exchange with each other, especially with travel and communications, and the ability to transact all across the world. If you look at the astrology of America, we have Pluto in Capricorn at 27 degrees, directly opposed Mercury in Cancer at 27 degrees. This is a very, very critical, very prominent axis in the American astrology, and it's all to do with money. Money, 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 money. Mercury's retrograde, Pluto's retrograde. So there's this permanent battle, the way I see it, between the world of we the people, the little people, the little people. There's 330 million of us now. The world of those people who really just want to be happy and have a life. I just want to have my food, my gasoline, some transportation, my house, my home, my friends, my family. I want to have barbecues. I want to have birthday party. I want to be safe in my home. I want to be able to hang out with my friends, do fun things, have a good life. And America has proved to itself that this is possible. However, that particular model where you have a very strong, let's say, Mercury and Cancer influence, where you have millions of people who transact and interact with each other on a small scale. For example, a craft fair, a farmer's market, or local small businesses, just a few handfuls of people, or small businesses with a few hundred people. All these businesses and enterprises and farms and farming and lots of homesteads and everything, which is how the vast bulk of America used to operate before everything exploded at the turn of the 20th century and corporate America started to take over. That was preceded by the industrialization, of course, the steam engine and all that. And then the 20th century was just a massive, massive roller coaster ride of, electricity, cameras, television, automobiles, airplanes, space rockets, internet, washing machines, televisions, just endless stuff that brought us to where we are today. Smartphones, internet, cryptocurrencies, fake money versus real money, and so on and so on. And there's two sides to the story. There's the really, really scary side, which I have referenced many times, which I feel is mostly to do with the people at the very top of the triangle of pyramid of power and money control. They basically want to turn the whole of planet Earth and every person here into a subject, a slave, a serf, very similar to a factory chicken, a cow on a factory farm with tens of thousands of other cows, fish farming, pig farming. And instead of having small local community farms where everybody cherishes their animals, loves their animals, grows their animals, harvests their animals on an as-need basis without the primary drive to make profits above anything and everything. Instead, the ambition is, and the goal and the drive is to have a good life, share your farm produce, the bounty of your wonderful animals. You look after your animals, you love your animals, you cherish your animals, and you harvest on an as-need basis only. But corporate America thought, well, you know what, we can make a lot more money if we just, use what's called the economies of scale. And so that allowed everything in every industry to explode. Instead of, automobile manufacturers, there were hundreds of small homemade mom and pop automobile companies, and of course they were all bought out by corporations, so you ended up with 3 massive corporations that own and control everything. So it's like a cartel. The same thing happened with food, same thing happened with electricity, same thing with water, natural gas, fracking, oil mining, oil drilling, gold mining, silver mining, metals mining for steel, iron, whatever, aluminum. And everything became corporate. And there were certain advantages. I'm not going to knock that part of it, but it's balanced out. What I noticed since my childhood is that there's been a degradation and destruction of what I would call the family unit in order to favor these autonomous corporate government cartels. It's fascism, basically. Government working in collusion with corporations to maximize money, power, and control for their benefit at the expense of you and me. That's very, very different. It's completely polarized to the small family farm, the homesteader, the village, the farmers, the small towns. A lot of times the small towns would be dozens or hundreds of them surrounding a city. And the city would be a place where people would transact a lot of produce and so on, and food. And the cities would be the place where they would have offices for law and commerce, and perhaps entertainment, things that you couldn't host on a small family farm or homestead. So the cities were complementary up to a point until the cities became a means to an end. And the whole idea was we're going to destroy the family. We're going to destroy. Basically, look at it this way: Pluto in Capricorn seeks to destroy Mercury in Cancer. And they're going at it like this. It's perpetual. It's built into the DNA of America. And it's grossly distorted way over to the side of Pluto in Capricorn right now. And you can see all the hideous, unhealthy aspects of an extremely distorted culture that we've had now. And of course that's all part of the natural evolution of the Pluto cycle. Like any planet, it reaches its zenith and then it degrades and degenerates until the end of its cycle, and then it rebirths. So that's happening right now. And what I'm noticing is that there's a massive surge of the little people, or we the people, the families, the farmers, the small family farmers, the family businesses who want to strike a balance. We'll never get rid of corporations, but it's time to hold the corporations accountable and bring them into accountability, because the fascist operations between the federal government, the federal banking system, and the corporations. It's all about harvesting. Imagine like a cow. Think of yourself as a cow. Think of yourself as a dead cow. Think of yourself as a chicken or a pig or a salmon on a salmon fishery farm and so on, a shrimp farm. It's all about extracting as much tangible value out of you as possible and sticking it into the pockets, into the pockets of the people at the very top of the pyramid. And there was a time when it wasn't so extreme, but once the people at the top understood and figured out how to refine and improve their system, it's turned into wholesale theft. What do they call it? Wealth transfer. And one of the most powerful tools is inflation, basically printing money, and that's what we're seeing today. And without going into all the machinery of how and why that happens and why it's so, if you could just trust me and accept and understand that, Esther, I'm just seeing your notes, okay? I understand. I know, Esther, I know exactly what you're talking about. There was tremendous hardship. There were civil wars. There was incredible, I guess I would say, violence between Native Americans and founders and settlers. There is a very dark shadow side to America. We all know that. I'm trying to stay on the positive. I'm very aware of it. I personally believe I had a past life long ago, multiple past lives as Native American. I don't have any recollections of a past life during the time, more recent time, of settlers and founders and white European immigration and all that stuff. So, yeah, I understand it. There was the Dust Bowl. There was depression. What are some of the other horrific things that happened? There's the subject of slavery, which is kind of a taboo subject. What else was there? A lot of the political perversions where these massive wars are fabricated and manufactured for the benefit of the elites. There's the Federal Reserve banking system. There's a lot of controversy about all that. Some of the stuff I can't talk about it here, but I believe there's a lot of blood on the hands of the United States Federal Reserve banking system, okay? It gets so convoluted. We could stay here forever and talk about these things. So before I get too lost, I just want to go back to a little list of things I have right now. I wanted to get off my chest. I'll come back to this in a minute. I think I mentioned just the other day I was watching something from Tucker Carlson. I really like him. And he interviewed a fellow called Stephen Sund, who was the chief of police in Washington, D.C., around that fateful day in January in 2001. And the story coming out, it's all documented and fact-checked. What can I say? It paints a very different picture to what the current administration is telling everybody in the world. The current administration, headed up by Uncle Joe and his family. I watched the whole thing. It's very, very disturbing, but also very revealing. You've got to reveal it to heal it. Stephen Sund does a lot of revealing. Same thing with, what's his name, Kennedy Jr. He just, I haven't finished watching it. It's a very long interview with Tucker. And RFK, he's got nothing to hide anymore. He's at a position in life, he doesn't really care anymore what anybody thinks about him. He's got so much damage and damaged history behind him. And he has been doing some very, very revealing and disturbing expose with Tucker regarding things like the war in Ukraine, the banking system, the healthcare system, the military-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex, and how they're all interwoven in a massive, I just think of it as an evil web that's designed to profit the elite at the expense of we the people. Once you start digging into this stuff, it becomes very disturbing, very frightening. You have to account that at the very tippity top of the triangle of the pyramid of power, control, and money, there are people who are literally sociopaths, psychopaths, and who have no compulsion about the trail of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people left dead in the wake of their ambition. There's blood on their hands, far bigger than anything from World War I or World War II or all the wars since World War II. World War III is sort of bubbling right now. The next thing I wanted to talk about, there is his initials are DJT. His first name is Donald. As you probably heard, he's going through another round of indictments. Really bogus, phony, weird stuff. If you start to listen to both sides of the story, you could start to think that, my God, they're all insane. Donald is just as insane as the people who are serving the indictments. Of course, most of you know that I lean very heavily towards this fellow, and I'm going to vote for him. And he has a massive following right now, at least, 70, 80 million people on his, on his team. And it's growing stronger every day, and it's absolutely hilarious to watch the polls if you're interested in those things. A lot of them are very bogus. But he is enjoying a massive boost in his, let's say, in his movement. He calls it a movement. He's not just trying to, become another president again. It's a total movement, and it's highly, highly correlated to the Pluto. I'm just going to do that little doodle here. Give me a second. If I do this, I was just doing my squiggles with my finger on the screen. If this is American history or world history, Pluto cycles go like this. Uranus cycles go like this. And so on. It's absolutely beautiful. And let's just say we're here right now. This is, and we started here, there's 1776. I'm just putting this quickly out here as a reference point. 1776, and here we are today, 2023. It's roughly a 250-year journey, okay, this particular cycle. This particular cycle is referenced very prominently in the teachings of Ray Dalio with global economics. Ray has no comprehension that this particular cycle, which is very notable, he doesn't know that it's correlated with Pluto or Uranus. This same cycle is proposed through Mark Moss and his teachings as well. But anyway, my point is, 1776, let's call it the birth of the United States with the, I've showed this many, many times. Okay, here we go. The Declaration of Independence, 4th of July, 1776, and then later in the years, the Constitution is formed, which is basically a written code of operations for this place called America. Now, when you start digging into it, I know some people who know a lot more about the shadowy, dark side of America than I get. So, So over here, 1776, it was basically like the British Empire actually went on for about 2 cycles, almost 500 years. But let's just say, for sake of argument, it was 250 years. At that time, the British Empire, let's call that the British, they basically ruled the world. They had the most powerful navy, the most powerful legal, and the most powerful military, the most organized corporate, legal, financial systems. And the British Empire basically dominated almost the whole of planet Earth as much as it could back in the day. And then the folks over here said, enough is enough is enough. We, the people, have separated from the British. We've moved over to this place that we're calling the United States of America. And we, the people, are going to dissociate from the British Empire because we don't like kings, monarchs, tyrants, oligarchs, totalitarian regimes where everything is ruled by dictation, dictates, dictators, kings, monarchs. We want a constitutional republic where we, the people, are in charge, and we hire people to represent us in the formal offices that we call Washington, D.C. today, to represent the needs of the people. And so that's what happened. And America grew into this amazing thing that no one's ever seen before. It was very, very bumpy along the way. At this part of the journey, there was the slavery issues. Slavery went back all the way over to here in terms of time. And then we had civil wars internally. We had the civil rights movement. All sorts. I mean, it goes on and on and on. America is very, very turbulent. Okay? A lot of that I attribute to the Mercury versus Pluto agenda. Okay? Also, America has different parts in astrology which actually kind of contributes to volatility. So it's kind of part of our nature. But anyway, fast forward, here we are today. And today we are going through exactly the same thing that happened 250 years ago. The only difference is that this is the American Empire. This is the American Empire. And the American Empire, as we know it, is now officially dead. And it's going to go through a rebirth because a lot of people here don't want this to die. I believe they want to rekindle it, like one of these things over here. So I think we're going to see America as a new version of it, America number 2. And it's going to take, like this little time period here, we're actually talking 20 years in advance and 20 years later. If you look right in here, at this point here, this is the 20-year period where we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius. And that is going to be time of extreme instability, shock, revolution inside America. So start prepping now, all right? I'm just giving you a heads up. A lot of that revolution is going to come through the financial system. Kaboom. We've been talking about it for a long time. Anyway, let me go back here. I made this little chart because I wanted to give you a broad perspective of my opinions, my beliefs, my thoughts on these matters. And taking us to where we are right today, I was talking about Donald and how he represents the voice of we the people against the voices of the established plutocrats, the oligarchs, essentially the enemy within. At this time in America, the enemy was without, but the founding fathers, as they call them, created a constitution to prepare for the day, because they knew damn well the day would come when our elected leaders would turn themselves into monarchs, into kings, into queens, which is what we have today, like the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens. They all operated like kings. Anyway, so that they are as far as I'm concerned, they are the enemy, and DJT is seeking to take it down and reconstitute the United States into a beautiful new version of America number 2. That's my opinion, but it's going to be extremely unstable because for the goodness to prevail means we effectively have to disempower the enemy within. Okay? So that's where we are. And it's turning into a major battle. And we're seeing it, whether you like it or not. It makes a lot of people just vomit. They don't want to see any of this. They don't want to hear it. They think Donald is a complete insane crackpot. They worship Joe. Some people think Joe is an absolute hardcore criminal, the worst president in the whole of American history. Fully compromised through bribery, corruption, betrayal, selling out America just to line his own pockets with a few million. Anyway, these are just my opinions. Right now, I like to watch the global finance stuff, the U.S. dollar. It's a kind of a trap. It's very hard to work around it, and there are people that I like to study and watch and learn from who are trying to, find ways to navigate through and around this so you don't become a victim of the existing financial system. It makes me very nervous talking about it, the fake money versus the real money. Real money you could talk about that could be the house that you own, the car that you own, the gold bars, the silver bars that you own, the, let's say, dividend stock that you own that generates revenue to you, hard cash that you might own, land that you might own, something like that, real skills that you have, that native skills that you have that generate money, income for you. The ability to trade and barter person to person rather than having to be subservient to the banks and the government. So that's a whole big quagmire over there. And that's going to take, I think, 20 years to resolve itself, where we will have a parallel economy that allows for what I consider real money to operate. And the enemy will be the world of fake money, which I believe is going to manifest in the form of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. You can research that, okay? Anyway, the other thing that it's been, just been very disturbing. I'm not going to talk about the Hawaii fires too much because I think somebody was already vomiting at the idea of even thinking about it anymore. Yes, I think there's something about it. It's very suspicious. Something to do with, follow the money type of stuff, arson type of things. There's a motivation to torch the whole town. Very sad. China, I've been ranting on forever. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Saturn in Pisces. It's going to amplify and amplify. Okay, and also Neptune in Pisces is going to reach the 29-degree crisis point sooner or later, and then China is going to fall deeper and deeper into its own doo-doo. Things are getting very extreme in China to the point where I'm not sure I understand it at all. It seems just very, very strange. I was watching some content the other day. There's millions and millions of Chinese displaced from the flooding. And millions of families destroyed. Homes, farms, towns, cities completely destroyed because of the flooding. But you don't see it much on the news here. I don't know why. It's astronomically bad. And anyway, there's a lot of superstition in China, and some people are saying this is the end. This is the end of China. This could be the end of the CCP. They're seeing bizarre behavior in animals, like bats, like worms, like locusts. They're seeing bizarre things with water and smoke blowing out of the ground. It's very, very disturbing stuff. They're seeing clouds go bright red. It's all... anyway, I sound like a crackpot, I know. I'm sorry. The last thing I wanted to mention, and I'll leave you all in peace. Actually, I got to go through the Astrodoodle briefly. Last thing that caught my attention, this is probably like a sort of a piece of background news, which is maybe it's not a big deal at all. You know, maybe it's nothing. But there's something called FirstNet, okay? It was set in place a few years ago to do with emergencies, FEMA, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and the idea was to connect first responders and people like, you know, National Guard to deal with local and regional emergencies at very, very high speed in such a way that there could be a dedicated communications lines set up that would operate through and around the emergency without falling apart. And all of that FirstNet stuff, it's called FirstNet, you can look it up. It all operates through the big telecom networks for AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. And I did a bit of snooping, and I discovered that these machines, okay, that were used recently, especially a couple of years ago, a lot of these machines were connected to this system. And they found that there's like this hidden network which allowed at the federal level, at the state, like not just like the local little towns and villages and so on where people do their votes, but where everything coalesces and all the votes are counted and it goes to these computers and offices and everything, and it gets collated into what we call the vote. And it turns out that a lot of states use these machines, these electric machines that these states trusted as the most advanced, cutting-edge, amazing, trustworthy ways to do voting. And of course, we've learned today that there's a lot of controversy around that, in that this thing, the vote, is still heavily contested today, as you know, between Donald and Joe. And it's turning into, I don't know, it's just a slugfest in the media right now. There's, you know, it's the left versus the right. It's DJT versus Uncle Joe and his family. Anyway, cusp, is this mundane? I guess it's mundane, yes. Yeah, I'm just talking about big stuff. I'm not doing anything too personal here. Anyway, what they found is that a lot of these machines all over the country, that were connected as nodes that went through this system that could be, let's say, accessed at the federal level. Now, to me, that's absolutely terrifying. That makes me feel very, very uncomfortable about the way this country is run. Anyway, let me go quickly to the Leo new moon itself. It just happened here, okay? The sun is conjoined Venus right now, okay? They're very, very tight. And the moon, just, you know, literally hours ago, the moon was here, and now it just slipped over into Virgo. So, over here, so I'm not going to, I don't know if I'll do it. It's probably too late to do it already. There are a lot of astrologers who are going to do lots of videos for you regarding the Leo new moon and how it works for you, whether you're a Scorpio, an Aries, or a Virgo, or whatever. You can get lots and lots of reports on that stuff, so I'm not sure whether I will do anything like that. But for those of you who are interested, this would be a chart for the whole of planet Earth right now. And it's over here in the 5th house, Leo, you know. So, it's like, let's say if you're a Virgo, for example, you would be having, I'll just do this really, really quickly, and you can ask questions if you want to another time, but if you are a Virgo type of person, and it's going to be hard to see here, but I'll just illustrate it anyway. If you're a Virgo type of person, the Leo moon is starting here in your 12th house, the house of hidden enemies, losses, failure, suffering, disease, sickness, losses, the connection to the divine, the house of universal love, the house of pure divinity, the house of sacrifice and martyrdom, the house of losses and failure, hospitals, prisons, drug addictions. New starts and new beginnings for you, Virgos. What's that going to look like? If you're a Libra, it's going to be in your 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes, society. How are you going to shine in society now? What's the opportunity for you to really, really stand out in your community, not as a superior in any way, but as a, let's say, a guiding light that inspires others. Okay? Let's have a look at the Scorpios. You're going to have your Leo new moon up here in your 10th house of career, destiny, your place in the world. What exactly, Scorpios, are you doing to refresh and lighten up and inspire the people in the world around you with whom you share your leadership type of energy? How can you inspire others and provide light to others by leading the way? Perhaps you have a kind of a career or a job or some kind of activity or destiny or purpose in life where you've felt uninspired or invisible or at a loss, but you've got a chance for a new start, a new beginning here. If you are a Sagittarius, you're going to have new starts, new beginnings up here in your 9th house, okay? Well, maybe it's time to have a lot of fun studying and going out on new adventures, perhaps with friends and families, or some people literally like to, even though it might be very difficult today with travel and find money and everything for a lot of people, it's still possible to have fun and adventures, maybe locally, do something fun and inspiring, maybe like go on a camp. I'm just throwing out wacko ideas, like go on a camping trip with a bunch of friends, or even go on a solo mission out into the hills, out into the mountains, out into nature, and to discover and get in touch with your higher consciousness, okay? What happens if you're a Capricorn? Okay? The Leo is going to be a new house, new starts and beginnings up here in your 8th house. So you might be very, very concerned about your finances in terms of not what you perhaps earn, but where have you invested all your time and energy and money, perhaps with significant others or with banks or with institutions? Have you discovered that there's something maybe not working for you? Have you suffered losses? You might have a chance to start fresh and recalibrate your finances. Aquarius. This would be the Aquarius vibes over here. If you're an Aquarian type, you're going to have a chance for new starts and new beginnings in your most significant one-on-one relationships, perhaps like a marriage or a very, very dear person who is very, very close to you. This is also the house of open enemies, so you might discover people or situations around you that had normally been hidden, and you've discovered that they have the worst of intentions towards you, and it might not have been revealed until recently, now that the sun is lighting up your 7th house. So keep an eye out for both. Keep an eye out for open enemies who are coming into the light. Keep an eye out for ways that you can restart, jumpstart, renew, reactivate, and inspire your deepest, most important relationships. What happens if you're a Pisces? Okay, so if you're a Pisces type, what is it going to be over here? The Leo is going to be in your 6th house. So you might be wanting to consider health issues. How are you going to improve your health? What about new starts and new beginnings? Do something fun and exciting and thrilling that makes you feel really, really good to invigorate your health. You might want to, I don't know, maybe it would be like go to a yoga class or something like that, or do anything that inspires your health and invigorates you, makes you feel as though you're coming alive again. If you're an Aries type, of course it's going to be in your 5th house here. Perhaps private enterprise, creative self-expression. You Aries, you might be inspired to really, like, I don't know, get up on a stage, speak, karaoke, write, perform, act. Do something with creative self-expression. Do something, start a small business, become your own craftsperson or something like that, you know? Or improve the marketing and success in your crafts. Also, this is a lot to do with romance. There might be something spicy going on for you, Aries. Over here, for the Taurus types, it's going to be happening over in your 4th house of home and family, safety and security, the place where you sleep, the place of safety, the place where you might cuddle up with a loved one, your pets, your children. It might be an idea to have a lot of fun in the home, perhaps depending where you live with climate, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. It might be fun to just do something to liven up the home and make it like a fun place to live, a fun place to be, rather than, let's say, it might have been getting gloomy or dark or shadowy and depressing. And now's the time to really lighten it up, maybe do a remodeling or something like that. There's a ton of retrogrades happening right now. Okay. Where was I? Which was I just talking about? Oh yeah, Aries. Okay, over here. No, then I went to the Taurus types over there, the 4th house. What was I talking about? I was just talking about where is it? Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, I'm just getting all stuck in my own astrodoodle. Yeah, 4th house. That would be for Taurus, if you're the Taurus types. Taurus, Scorpio axis. There it is. That's right. Okay, I just talked about that, the home and family over here. So, for the where did we do that? Where did we start? I can't even remember where we started. Oh, anyway, let's just keep going. Okay, Gemini, Sagittarius. Okay, for the Gemini types, it's going to be in your 3rd house of communications, commerce, co-workers, dear friends, telecommunications, transportation, short-term, short-distance travel, and so on. You might want to go for a day out, a day trip somewhere. Do something fun. Spice up your local community activities so that you can feel like a greater part of the community. Okay, if you're a Cancerian type, okay, you're going to have the Leo new moon in your second house of money, finances. You might have a chance now to reorganize, rekindle, relight, illuminate your finances in such a way that they are simpler, more effective, and you might be able to allocate more accurately what am I doing with my money? I need to survive. How can I bring in more money? Or how can I manage my own money better so that I can allocate what needs to be allocated to the necessities and still retain a little piece for the self so you can have some fun, okay? You know, every now and again, have a little treat. Every couple of weeks, go out and get a simple little dinner or something. Over here, if you are a Leo yourself, okay, well, of course, it's whole new starts, new beginnings for you. That person you see in the mirror, like, who am I? So it's like a solar return for the Leo crowd. The Leo crowd, you've just gone through your whole solar cycle and now it's back to the beginning. You might be looking back, depending on exactly when your birthday is, but you might be looking back like, my gosh, what happened to me over the last year? What have I been doing? Where did I go to? Where have I been coming from? How am I going to plan out and navigate the next year in front of me? It's like your birthday, okay? It's time to rekindle the Leo person that you are, spruce everything up. I'm talking about everything, you know, how you look, the way you present yourself to the world, so that you feel optimal, your most proud, natural, confident, shiny, wonderful self. Okay, so where did I get to? The Virgo types. Did we do that? Oh, I think we started there with the Virgo types. Yeah, and the Leo new moon would be in your 12th house. That's right. Okay, so we did all that. All right. So anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. We've still got this massive invisible T-square that no one's talking about. To me, this is extremely important, but no one's talking about it. I see this as astrological pressure from the whole of our solar system, forcing each one of us as individuals to become much more accountable to ourselves instead of defaulting to anyone and anything that declares that they are superior to us, you know, something like an authority or a leader or a president or a king or a queen or a monarch or a bank or some kind of institution or corporation that has done a very good job of making them seem more important than you are to yourself. Okay? It's time to reclaim your sovereign self. Okay? That's for everybody on earth. So that you're not a victim of some of the hideous things that have been going on. What's this new? Let's have a look. I'm just going to check in with the chat. I'm probably way behind on everything here. I missed a lot of things. Where am I? Hello, Ivona. Hello, Starzy. Esther. Oh, yeah. I pray he gets convicted, held accountable for his stupidity. Oh, do you mean Joe or do you mean Donald? You want Donald? Do you want Donald to be convicted or do you want Joe? Esther, baloney. Okay, I'm not sure what I was saying that was baloney. If you want to elaborate, please go ahead. Is this mundane astrology? Yeah, effectively. I'm talking about big picture stuff. I just did a very, very short little tiny brief thing about the Leo new moon for everybody, depending on your dominant energy, like if you're an Aquarius or a Libra. I just did some of that. I hope that helps you. You are a cusp, dear cusp person. You are a Libra. So there, let me go back over here. So for you, dear Libra cusp person, your Leo new moon would be in the 11th house. The 11th house. I think we showed that already, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did. If you're a Libra type, yeah, I think we talked. I'm pretty sure we talked about that. The Leo new moon would be up there in your 11th house of humanity, community, hopes, dreams, wishes, and so on. Esther doesn't believe what? What don't you believe? You don't. Maybe I was ranting. Maybe I was saying things that sound like I'm a complete crackpot. Well, in some ways I am. I mean, my channel has been attacked so many times because people think I'm a crackpot, but I'm used to it. Anyway, I do what I can. I'm really just trying to help people, that's all. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting. And I'll catch up soon. I hope I didn't scare too many people. I tried to keep things very, very light and fun and friendly, but behind the scenes, I'm seeing some very, very, very disturbing stuff. And I'm trying to make people aware. Just, stay aware. Do what you can. Love thyself, protect yourself, protect your money, protect your privacy. Number one, take care of yourself, because that's the best thing you can do, because you never know that you might be near loved ones who might need you in a time of dire crisis, and you might need the help of a loved one in a time of dire crisis. So best thing you can do is optimize yourself. Be your own most awesome sovereign self. Make that your number one priority. All right, I'm going to stop that stream now and say good night. Take care, everyone. Actually, I'm just going to switch it to the go, because I'm doing it this way because it looks like there's a huge delay in the transmission that I don't control. So I'm going to watch this gradually taper off here. Okay. Hi, Bubba.